Hello everyone, my name is of course Nick, and welcome to this week's review for the Bat Devil arc. Last week, we stepped into the dark, depressing, yet beautiful world of Chainsaw Man. We last covered the first arc in the series, the intro arc. I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of the first beginning chapters in the series, and of course, click the card in the top right to go check my thoughts on it if you missed it. But this week, we are truly diving into the series, and boy, there's a lot to talk about. Like, honestly, let's just hop right into this. But before we do that, I want to say thank you guys so much for the support on last week's video. It really means a lot to me, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one just as much. And of course, if you do end up liking the video, I'd appreciate it a lot if you did decide to leave a like on the video, because if you do, it ends up telling YouTube's algorithm that, hey, people like this content, let's push it to other people's feeds. Anyway, enough of my blabbering. Let's dive back into this world and see what happens when we tackle these next 8 chapters. Cue the anime intro. We pick back up the series with Denji and Power on patrol, and we already see how amazing a character Power is. Legit, the first panel we see her in, she is smacking Denji in the back of the head because she wants to kill something. Also, even though Power is a fiend, I'm just going to refer to her as a girl because that is how the series portrays her a lot of the time, and I feel it's most appropriate for the review. Anyway, back on track. I didn't bring it up last time, but the reason Denji is immediately interested in Power is, well, the only reason you could think of. He wants to feel them titties. Which, hey, I think he deserves it after all the crap he's been through. Also, I love how this arc actually does lean into a more comedic side, which flows really well with Power's character. She is loud, obnoxious, sporadic, but she honestly seems like the most fun to be around in this world, besides Best Girl, of course. Actually, speaking of Hayakawa, we learned that he is actually the one that paired Denji with Power. Hayakawa obviously at this moment is still of course out to get Denji, and honestly, I'm kinda here for it. I love the little back and forth we get between him, the little rivalry we got going on. Now we cut these shots of Power smelling blood though, and Power, I would say for these first few chapters, reminds me of Gollum from Lord of the Rings, or Gollum. Just the way her lines are written, and this might just be me, but when she is sprinting, almost looking like she's about to get on all fours screaming, "Fight time, fight," it reminds me of Gollum going, "Precious." Like, this would be me though, but Power feels very animalistic these first few chapters. Then we get to see her power though, no pun intended there, which is fucking blood, like, which is just cool as shit, like, oh my god. She goes full Harley Quinn here and legit makes a big ass blood mallet and just smashes this fucking demon. Like, holy shit, I'm really intrigued to see how creative Fujimoto gets here with Power's power. And you literally cannot tell me this isn't Gollum with that motherfucking ring. Bro, look at this girl, I can't. We do sadly learn that the Power fucked up. Because the civilian devil hunter was engaged with it already, I don't know much about civilian devil hunters at the time, but I'm assuming they're either freelance devil hunters like how Denji was with the Yakuza, or maybe they're like vigilantes? I'm not for sure, but we will probably learn more about them down the road. I find it funny Makima decides to tell Denji he has to keep Power under control, but like, girl, what you want him to do? You can't control that. I also like when Makima questions Power's ability to stay under control and not go ballistic. She gains a lisp and begins to blame Denji, like, Power, I love you. Then of course, Makima has to go and intrigue me some more when Denji and Power start arguing over who to blame for the mishap earlier. All Makima says is, "Can you be quiet?" And right away, I can't tell if it's because of fear or what, but Power right away becomes obedient towards Makima. Almost like how she was referring to Denji earlier when she called him a pet. See, what's starting to me is that we've seen just how wild and fucking crazy Power is. We just seen that, but yet when Makima speaks to her in a tone like this, like you would a pet, she almost looks scared. Now this might sound crazy, and maybe I'm totally wrong. I wonder if Makima tortured Power to get her where she is. It is a really interesting moment for me, and I had to point it out. We cut to now, it seems to be a bit later, and Denji's now questioning his go to touch Power's boobs because, like, how the fuck are you gonna do that? But we see Power taking notice towards a cat. And honestly, I thought she was gonna eat it knowing how she is, but yet we see her tell Denji she can only get along with cats. We learn that Power hates humans because of a form of devil instinct, which is interesting to think about. Like, I wonder if that devil back in chapter 1 that hated devil hunters was just because of devil instinct or not. I don't know, but interesting thought. We now come to the driving force behind this arc, which is Power's cat Meowie. Turns out a devil took Meowie away from Power for whatever reason, and Denji, who isn't really caring about the situation, says this in a way where I felt he wasn't expecting an actual response, but he tells Power that he would go help her get her cat back if he could touch her boobs. Yet Power does actually offer up and says if he gets Meowie back from the devil, she let him touch him. The absolute look of shock on Denji's face here when she says this, oh, it's peak comedy. It's so good. And then right after, Denji turns a complete 180 and is like actually like now ready to help. He is ready to get Meowie back. But what honestly gets my attention more here is when Denji gets up in his Power's face and exclaims that this devil did something unforgivable. She gets a complete look of surprise. And then when Denji keeps going off, spouting all this crazy shit, she seems to start getting to the same type of energy as Denji. And she starts full on agreeing with him, which I just found actually kind of cute. Like, look at this, look at this girl. You see, honestly, much like earlier with Denji's reaction, I don't think Power was expecting the reaction she got from him, and it seemed to excite her in this almost animalistic fashion. That may make no sense, but I honestly think it's super cool that just from this one shot, I get several different yet similar emotions from her. So Denji and Power are going out to search for the devil that took Meowie. But Power tells Denji she knows where the devil is already, but if it sees her, it'll definitely kill Meowie before they even get close to it, so Denji has to fight it alone. We then get this very interesting scene. Denji seems like he's trying to sympathize with Power in the situation she's in, and opens up about Pochita. He says that even though he can't ever pet him again, that it's okay because he lives on his heart. I like this scene a lot because it harks back to that point Denji made back in chapter 4 when he's talking to Hayakawa, that if he could be friends with a devil, he would be, which he seems to be trying to do right now with Power. But to Denji's dismay, Power just calls him stupid and says he's just talking crap and Pochita's just dead and that's it. Denji actually looks shocked at Power here, and even seems truly sad. Whilst brushing off what she said, we see in his head though that Power definitely just got on Denji's bad side, which obviously makes a lot of sense because we know how much Pochita means to Denji. Also, even though it's not too important to the story, I love the shot we get right after this, showing Denji and Power on the tram looking upset. I just love the way they're positioned here, because it's showing how far off their ideals are. Now, I might be overthinking that, but it's still an amazing shot. Like, look at the way their heads are. Like, it's such a, I don't know. I just love it. I think it's so sick. Now, this next scene is really interesting. We cut away from Denji and Power's adventure to Makima in a room with 5 men, who remind me a lot of the Gorosei from One Piece, if you ever watched that. Like, these guys seem to be the ones above Makima, and who will probably make the decision whether Hayakawa's squad stays alive or not. Because I forgot to mention last time that Hayakawa's team is in a special division, and could be disbanded whenever these guys see fit, judging from their words. Which would probably lead to Denji and Power being considered devils, and killed by the public safety devil hunters. Anyway, these guys, who I'm just going to call the 5 dinguses, because why not, are talking about the Soviet Warhawks, which I'm assuming are just Russia's devil hunters, getting upset over something going down in America. They also exclaim that Russia is using devils for military purposes, which, depending on the devil, could probably lead to a war between countries, which I think is what this one dingus is talking about in this line. Cutting to after the meeting, we learn some really interesting information about devils. Makima explains that the more the name of the devil is feared, the more powerful it is, which is why she sees so much potential in Denji. I mean, he's a fucking chainsaw devil. Obviously, this is real life, and you heard there was a fucking chainsaw devil running around, you'd probably shit yourself. So Makima is saying Denji is extremely powerful, which is really interesting to hear early on like this. We now come back with Power and Denji showing up at the house where the devil that is holding Meowie is at. Also, in case I forgot to mention, keep in mind that Denji does lose blood whilst in chainsaw form, so he will faint if he loses too much blood. We now come to a very sad revelation. Turns out, as Denji and Power approaching the house, Denji realizes Power shouldn't be getting this close and brings it up to her, which is when she reveals that she made it up and attacks Denji. Thankfully, Denji does have good intuition, realizing something is up, so he tries to fight back, but she gets the upper hand and knocks him out. We then meet the big baddie of this arc, and of course, what the arc is named after, the Bat Devil. Turns out the Bat Devil was wounded by a devil hunter and had its arm hacked off, so to regrow it, it needs blood. We start to see it regenerate and bust out of this location it was hiding in, and we get to see this wild looking scale of the devil. This thing looks fucking awesome in a terrifying way. It's fucking gnarly. But besides the Bat Devil itself, we see this really nice shot of Power looking at Denji, bloodied from being literally squeezed like a fucking grape, and all she says is, "I can't believe you took my story for truth. Humans really are foolish." I love the look she gives Denji, like she is almost surprised he fell for her trick. I find it really interesting that Denji really did trust her, but that's the way he is. We now see the Bat Devil sitting atop the house that it was hiding in, looking for some exquisite cuisine. We cut to Power telling the Bat Devil to get Meowie back for bringing in a human. So she did truly have a reason for tricking Denji, even though of course it doesn't make it right. To Power's shock though, the devil goes back on their deal and fucking eats Meowie. Oh my god. This scene shows a side of Power we didn't know she had. We obviously thought she had tricked us up to this point, but seeing Power's face as Meowie's about to be eaten, fuck, I truly feel bad for her. She is willing to go so far for her friend and to have this happen, and then they gotta hit me with her backstory and her meeting Meowie. Oh my god, Fujimoto, why you hurt me like this? Going into Power's backstory though, we'll first see Power sitting atop a dead bear she seems to have killed, which is whoo. And it seems a cat she names Meowie runs into her, and it looks like it's starving. Power, being silly old little Power, decides to fatten her up before she decides to eat her. Fun, I know. Anyway, we see Power exclaiming to get big so she can eat her, but somewhere along the line, and we even see Meowee far from starving and getting right up next to Power, but yet she doesn't eat her. We don't see much between Power and Meowee before she's taken away, but you can see they do have a relationship now, and it's super sweet to see. Now, I'm assuming the Bat Devil smell Power's power, because I don't think I mentioned earlier, but Power mentions that she is super strong, and other devils can smell that on her, which is why the Bat Devil probably picked her to go get some food. I would like to mention though that right before Meowee's taken away, the way Power looks at it, it's truly loving, and I just find it really cute, and it shows even more why she would go so far to save it. Now, as I'm writing the script and looking at how Power looks, man, I just can't. She is truly horrified at what the Bat Devil has done, and then the side shot we see of her, it honestly made me choke up a little, and then we see a shot that honestly, man, my jaw dropped. It's not gory, it's not disgusting, it's Power turning her head to Denji, and if you have ever heard this saying, a picture says 1,000 words, I truly believe that looking at this shot. I can tell everything going on in her mind right now with just this one shot. I mean, look at her. It's desperation, sadness, regret, shock, horror, and I can probably go on and on. This scene is fucking phenomenal. Especially right after this shot, we see Power bring up Pochita to Denji, and unlike before where she thought he was just a foolish human, all she says now is, I know how you feel. 'Tis an awful feeling, isn't it? Fucking hell. This scene, man, is so fucking powerful, and it's just so amazing. It stuns me at how much emotion this evokes from me. It doesn't even stop there though. Right after Power says all that to Denji, the Bat Devil just fucking eats her like holy shit. We see the Bat Devil about to fly off in search of food, but he isn't going alone. After all the shit Denji just witnessed, it has sparked a fire under him, and he isn't having this shit. Grabbing onto the Bat Devil and exclaiming, give me back my boobs. Denji, already having lost a lot of blood earlier to the Bat Devil, decides to bite into the Bat Devil and drink its blood. He's going chainsaws on this motherfucker. We see a little scene before this though, where Denji looks back on a time where Pochi was missing, and he couldn't find him. He knows the type of panic and fear that comes when you don't know where your pet is, where your friend is in this moment. I feel he 100% forgives Power here for what she did, and we cut back to this gnarly shot of a chainsaw coming out of Denji's head, and we know shit's about to go down. We start with this huge fight between Denji and the Bat Devil, with Denji cutting off what seems to be one of the Bat Devil's hands, and the Bat Devil did not know Denji was a devil, so he was like, bruh, come on. Then the next thing we see is Denji just fucking slicing through this fucker's wing like nothing, and then they come crashing down into a building. The Bat Devil asks Denji what his goal is in all this, and all Denji needs to exclaim is to cut him open and touch some fucking boobs. Let's go, baby. That's my goat. That's my goat. Smashing the Bat Devil to the side of the building and out into the street, we see the Bat Devil, to me, acting desperate and decides to throw a car at Denji, because it has a person inside, and earlier, we've seen Denji warn a woman to run before she gets killed. We then find out a really cool power Denji has, which is that he can retract his chainsaws. This time it seems to be done subconsciously, but I wonder if this will be brought back up in later arcs. Now, am I stupid, or does this next scene not make much sense? I don't want to slow down the review too much, because this is a really cool fight and I do like it a lot. But we next see Denji throw the car back at the Bat Devil. But I don't see why he would risk a guy's life like this, when earlier we just seen him so concerned for another. Am I stupid, or did I miss something? Comment down below, guys, and let me know. I would love to see what you guys think. We next see the Bat Devil use this really interesting move, which my best guess is some upgraded form of echolocation out of fear. I don't know, I tried to look into it because I was like, what is his power? But might just be funny power go burr. But despite me not knowing what it is, what I do know is that its destructive power is kind of insane, completely decimating buildings. We then cut to the Bat Devil about to eat the guy Denji decided to not save earlier, but Denji decides to save them this time, slicing through the Bat Devil once again. Now, I do fucking love this shot of Denji where he's all fucked up and mostly human, but still has this cool ass chainsaw head. Looks so fucking sick. We have some more beautiful shots of the fight where Denji somehow slides up his arm using his chainsaw. Like, what? That's so cool. We then see what seems to be the final blow on this motherfucker, with Denji mangling the shit out of him. I absolutely love this shot. It's a great finishing move to a disgusting monster. We now cut back to the past a little bit, now seeing Power after Meowee was taken by the Bat Devil. She's in a panic and even questioning why she cares so much about this one cat. She exclaims to herself she loves blood, but she just recently discovered when holding Meowee, even in a position even similar to Denji when he held Pochita, that blood is nice. I know, odd words for me to say, but it's really, to me, shows even more how much Power cares for Meowee and how she has changed ever since being with it. Whilst I don't think that backstory was entirely necessary because we've already seen how much she cares for him, I do like this transition though, with Power slightly crying and asleep, showing us her dreaming, and waking up to even holding Meowee with Denji holding her. Now this is fucking amazing. Fujimoto again, showing his ability to give these characters expressions, and there's really no need for dialogue. The emotion is really what gets me here, but this feeling, I can't exactly describe the feeling except relief. It's a relief that Denji did save her, but more so a sense of beauty. The fact that he's just holding her and there's a monster guts everywhere, it's a very odd, but the contrast, oh my god, it's gorgeous. Power then asks Denji, why did he save her? And all he does is do a motion mimicking grabbing a boob. Now, whilst it is, slightly funny, when I read this scene and Denji did that, and all Power says to it is, what a foolish reason. I don't know, I just felt like it was just solemn, And again, I know I said a lot, but it's quite beautiful. Like, I don't know. It's just a moment that really is just like, I don't know, it just gets me. Now, honestly, I want to keep even going into more detail as to why even more of Fujimoto's art here is amazing. But this video is already going to be long enough, so let's just talk about what Power says to Denji next. She tells Denji she's sorry for deceiving him and that she'll even let him touch her chest. Not much to say about it except it is a sweet gesture, and I mean, if you can call it a sweet gesture. It is quite funny though seeing Denji's face here when she says this, because he honestly more than likely wasn't expecting to actually be able to, which is super cute. Sadly though, this arc isn't done with us yet. As Denji raises his hand in the air at the thought of touching Power's boobs, his arm is torn off by this weird ass fucking leech devil. I love that right off the bat Denji's first worry is Power, and he tells her to take Meowie and run, even though she says she can't move. He then, in a very badass way, pulls the string and it's time for a wait. Denji didn't realize, but he doesn't have enough blood left in his system to sustain a full chainsaw form, so all that comes out is just one out of his head. We then see that this leech devil was the Bat Devil's boyfriend? Girlfriend? It doesn't matter. Now the leech devil at first actually says that Denji can leave because he's cute and doesn't want to actually murder her cute face. But once it says that it won't let Power and Meowie go, Denji wasn't having that. I do find it odd though that the Leech Devil doesn't want revenge on the one who actually killed the Bat Devil, but I guess it didn't care too much about revenge, but more so lashing out. Kind of weird, but it is a Leech Devil, so you can't really, who knows what it's thinking. Yet now we come to Denji with only one arm and a little chainsaw sticking out of his head, with very little blood in his system, about to take on another devil. If there's one thing Denji is amazing at, it's perseverance. No matter what is thrown at him, whether it's a death that is undeserved or a fight he's not well prepared for, he doesn't care. He will do everything he can to prevail, especially when there's boob touching on the line. Amen, brother, amen. Now the fight between the Leech Devil is underway, but the way Denji is right now, he can't do much at all, with the Leech Devil commenting that it's surprised that the Bat Devil was killed by him. Now these next few scenes I found very interesting. The Leech Devil starts commenting on Denji's determination to touch them breasts, and Denji just snaps. He's tired of people thinking that he's a worse person just because he doesn't have some uplifting or inspiring dream. Denji's now fully pissed. He starts screaming that, oh, well, if your dream is so much better than mine, let's have a dream battle, which is fucking awesome. He says, if I rip you apart, then that makes your dream worth much less than touching boobs. I'm like, goddamn, that's my boy. That's my goat. Now, not to cut away from too much action, but this is actually the perfect time to bring up something that I can't really call criticism now. Now, throughout the past chapters, I actually found that whenever Denji brought up touching breasts to be his main motivation behind saving Power, even though I feel that it isn't all of it, I found it worse for Denji and made him feel like a lesser person than before. I actually feel Fujimoto might have actually thought people would think this way, and that all of this was to really drive the point home that Denji is much different than other shonen protagonists. He isn't a saint. Even though I still have a little problem with it, just because I feel Fujimoto did a lot to show us how much struggle Power was going through, and it felt very heroic and made a lot of sense to help Power. Denji probably didn't need the motivation anyway, is what I think Fujimoto is kind of giving away here. And whilst it is still a criticism for me a little, I do like the way Fujimoto handles it here, and it makes up for the minor criticisms that I did have. Okay, mini rant over, let's get back to it. We now see Denji looking almost like a different person. I don't know if it's from the immense blood loss or what, but he looks fucking insane here. With even Power commenting, he's a demon, which I freaking love. All is not well though, because whilst Denji's trying to destroy this devil, its tongue pierces Denji, and it looks like he's out of the count. But just as he's about to be devoured, who else do we see come to the rescue? None other than Best Girl, aka Hayakawa, and he pulls off this move. And the move he pulls off here is absolutely insane. Hayakawa makes a hand sign and summons what looks to be a devil, and holy shit, the design of Kon here is absolutely freaking awesome. It gives me a lot of Junji Ito or Ito Juji vibes, and like, oh my gosh, it's so wild. The psychedelic nature of the eyes are by far my favorite design-wise. We then see what seems to be the rest of Squad 4. I'm not going to talk about them too much in this review, but next review I'll definitely be giving a breakdown of each of them, and we'll be talking about them. For now though, it seems the only senior of the group is a girl named Himeno, along with 2 other newbies. We last see Hayakawa picking up Denji, and Power learns that Meowie is thankfully going to the vet for a full checkup. We start off chapter 11 with Denji waking up in the hospital, with Hayakawa beside him peeling an apple. We then see that Denji's arm was reattached by itself thanks to him receiving blood. We now get that juiciness, some expanded lore, which, ooh, It's that good stuff. We now learn that contracts can be formed with a devil. Of course, we know this thanks to Pochita, but this contract is a bit different with Hayakawa and Kon. Kon is a very powerful devil. For Hayakawa to be able to summon him, Hayakawa must feed him some of his skin. I can't wait to see what other types of devils we see throughout the show, thanks to these contracts with devil hunters. We learn that Hayakawa suspects Power had to do something with the incident with the Bat Devil, and the large amount of blood in the house that the Bat Devil was in. We see though that Denji does not turn on Power. We see once again the difference in point of views between Hayakawa and Denji. Hayakawa then starts going through his head about interviews that he had with people that Denji had saved in the past. Besides, of course, the poor guard guy. He wasn't too happy about Denji. Hayakawa does begin to show a glimpse of compassion and decides to not report anything to the higher-ups, which would have more than likely meant death for Denji and Power. Hayakawa does say though that he's doing this on one condition, which is for Denji to listen to him from now on. But I just think he's growing on him, honestly. I do like though that Denji does give him a somewhat serious answer here. It to me feels like he does respect Hayakawa in a sense, and look at that smirk Hayakawa gives. Oh my gosh. Cutting to outside Denji's room, we see that Power is actually handcuffed, and it does make me wonder if Denji did act differently towards Power if Hayakawa would have taken her to the higher ups. I think if Denji did put all the blame on Power, Hayakawa would have, but since Denji didn't, he realized his only other option would have been witness testimonies, which he decided wasn't worth losing them both. Because even though I think Denji is growing on him, I feel his demeanor with Power is much different. Yes, he does glare at Denji, but I don't feel he asserts his presence like he does here with Power, if that makes sense. But oh baby, now I'm hyped. Look at this. Ah! We see Power and Miyawi arrive at Hayakawa's place, and oh my god, Hayakawa's face has me fucking dying. I love it. We next see Hayakawa on the phone with Makima, obviously wanting to know why she's here, and Makima being Makima convinces him with little effort to let her stay with him. We now see another type of ideals clash with Denji and Power. Unlike Denji, who grew up with nothing, Power is very picky about what she eats, exclaiming she isn't going to eat vegetables, yet Denji's like, oh hell yeah. We now see what may be the best scene of the series so far. After Power throws her vegetables, we see Denji and Hayakawa both get pissed off at Power. They both kind of get on the same side and start agreeing with each other about Power's behavior and a lot of things around the house, and seeing these three just fuck around and argue about silly shit is honestly super sweet, and it's just really fun, and I absolutely love it. It's a really nice little like break from all this, you know, craziness that's been going on. Lastly, we see Denji appearing to be cleaning, yeah. Anyway, Power hollers at him, and whilst at first Denji's a little upset because he's in the middle of a thing, she tells him she's going to finally let him achieve his goal, which causes his whole demeanor to change. Whereas before calling her horrible, now he's exclaiming she's an angel. Did I mention I love this manga? Now guys, for the final chapter of this review, it's gonna be a little weird. I'll be moving a little fast because we're about to get a very horny, and I mean like really horny scene between Denji and Power. And I'm pretty sure Papa YouTube will eat my ass if I show it like at all. I might show a little, but I can't show a lot at all. And besides, nothing too crazy happens for the story. So to cut half of this entire chapter short, Power gives Denji 3 squeezes, and yeah, things occur. It gets pretty much it's just a back and forth scene the entire time between Denji, where Denji's going for a squeeze, and Power making me feel some type of way. Oh Lord help me, Jesus. Anyway, at the end of it all, Power just nonchalantly gets Miyawi and goes to bed, leaving Denji more than a little unfulfilled, which leads into his conversation with Makima the next day, with him talking about how unfulfilled and life-changing his experience was. And boys, we get even more horniness with Makima, like holy shit guys, don't get me wrong guys, I really enjoy this chapter, and honestly the pacing is impeccable with the stuff with Makima. Like it has me glued to my fucking screen because it's so like intense, and it gets kind of insane, but there just isn't much to talk about story-wise until Makima brings up she has a favor to ask of Denji. She brings up that she wants Denji to defeat a devil, the Gun Devil. Now, the name alone is terrifying, but boys, we know that the more a certain thing is feared, the stronger it is. What isn't more scary than guns for a lot of people, huh? This is very exciting. She tells Denji it started wreaking havoc in America 13 years ago, which might be what the 5 dinguses Makima were talking to earlier about. She says that she thinks Denji is the one and only devil hunter that could pull it off, which is super exciting. She then of course has to go out with a bang and says that if he can kill the Gun Devil, she'll grant him any wish he wants. But boys, what is this Gun Devil? What is going to happen next in this wild story that just keeps on giving? I guess we'll have to find out next week when we take on the Eternity Devil arc.